Hi everyone, Donut here. Who is Officer Joseph Mensah? This guy right here. He was hired by the Wauwatosa Police Department in 2015 after working for the Dane County Sheriff's Office and the University of Wisconsin-Madison Police Department. Prior to the shootings we are going to talk about in this video, he never had any serious violations while on duty. Why am I making a video on Officer Joseph Mensah, you might ask? Well, that's because he's shot and killed 3 people in the past 5 years. He has? I'm outraged. How could he do this? Wait. Calm down, woke donut. We're rational people who need to do research before we jump to conclusions in situations like this. We should ask questions like, why did Officer Mensah shoot 3 people in the past 5 years? Why is Officer Mensah getting national attention right now? According to reports, 3 different social justice organizations took out an ad in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel calling for the prosecution of Officer Mensah. The ad specifically stated, if you fail to prosecute Mensah, you're doing a disservice to the legacies of Alvin Cole, Antonio Gonzalez, and Jay Anderson, ignoring the lives of Black, Brown, and LGBTQ citizens in your county, and essentially allowing for the possibility of a future catastrophe. The 3 groups who took this ad out were Until Freedom, Gather for Justice, and Team Rock, which is a social justice organization started by Jay-Z. Because of the attention brought to Officer Mensah by these 3 groups, 50 to 60 protesters showed up to Officer Mensah's private residence last week. They started vandalizing his residence, so Officer Mensah went outside and tried to start a dialogue with them to explain some things, or, just talk like rational people do. But guess what? You never saw this coming. He was assaulted by the group. An angry mob being rational? No, says I. That's not the end of it, though. When he returned to his residence, someone fired a shotgun through his back door, narrowly missing him. The city of Wauwatosa released this statement. On August 8, 2020, at approximately 8 p.m., a large group gathered near his home. The group, estimated to be between 50 and 60 people, targeted the private residence of Wauwatosa Police Officer Joseph Mensah and began to vandalize the home. Officer Mensah attempted to establish a dialogue with the group and was physically assaulted outside of his home. When he retreated into his home, armed protesters approached the rear door, and a single shotgun round was discharged by a member of the group into his back door. Officer Mensah had this to say about the incident. I am all for peaceful protests, even against me, but this was anything but peaceful. The irony in all of this is that they chanted Black Lives Matter the entire time, but had zero regard for any of the black children that lived there or me, a black man. Can you imagine hearing about something someone did, and instead of doing any lick of research, you drive over to their house with a shotgun and shoot into their home where their children are sleeping? Welcome to how 99% of Twitter and Reddit process things up here. I keep talking about research, so let's actually do some research and see if Officer Mensah deserved this mob justice. The first shooting he was involved in was 29-year-old Antonio Gonzalez. This shooting took place on July 16, 2015. There's no video, but reports state that someone called 911 and said that his tenant was being violent. Officers responded and encountered Gonzalez wielding a sword. Gonzalez at the time had a blood alcohol content of 0.255, meaning he was pretty drunk. Reports state despite numerous commands for the subject to put down his weapon, he refused to do so. Officers ultimately discharged their service handgun, striking the subject. The suspect's roommate later stated, "What choice do police have? He's never done that before. I knew things were getting out of control. They did their job. Unfortunately, one of the bullets got in his chest." Officer Mensah stated he fired his weapon because he feared for his safety and the safety of 2 other citizens on the scene. The other officer who opened fire during this incident stated he did so because Gonzalez was close enough to strike Officer Mensah with the sword. Milwaukee County District Attorney found that this shooting was justified. Mensah's second shooting took place back in 2016 when he found Jay Anderson Jr. asleep in his car in a parking lot. Officer Mensah noticed that Anderson had a gun on the passenger seat of his car, so he drew a service pistol and called for backup. Officer Mensah later stated that he dipped his hand towards the gun 3 times. About a minute after calling for backup, as you can see in the dash cam, Anderson drops his hand in the direction of the gun. Officer Mensah fires 6 shots, striking Anderson in the head 5 times. At the time, Anderson was legally drunk and had some weed in the car. I think it's safe to say he probably wasn't following directions very well and could also possibly make poor decisions in this condition. The Milwaukee County District Attorney ruled that this shooting was justified. The third and latest shooting took place February 2nd of this year when police were called to a mall about a possible fight and someone having a gun. When police arrived on scene, you can see several people taking off running with police chasing them. Struggle takes place and you can hear officers telling the suspect, Alvin Cole, to drop the gun several times before shots are fired. A stolen handgun and an extended magazine were found on scene. Police state that Cole fired at police before police opened fire on him. In the video, you can hear what sounds like a gunshot, a 10-second pause, and then police firing shots.
Get the gun! Get the fucking gun! Get the fucking gun! Hey! Put it down! Put it down! Get down the gun! Get down the gun! Put the gun now! Stop! Stop!
A use of force expert did recently investigate and weigh in on this shooting. The use of force expert stated what sticks out is the fact the officers several times identified there was a gun. Drop the gun, drop the gun, drop the gun. So it seems to me there is not a question in the officer's mind what he is dealing with. Again, there is opportunity for the subject to surrender, so I don't think anyone could say this was a rash judgment on the officer's part. Use of force expert also stated, despite having video evidence of the shooting, there is not enough information known yet to say whether the shooting is justified. I think this is a little tiny piece in this giant mosaic of what happened. There could be instances when it was justified to shoot, and there could be instances where it wasn't justified. The chief of police for the department stated anyone who brings a handgun into a crowded shopping mall and threatens another guest in the mall is a matter of concern. In this case, it was a 17-year-old with a gun. This shooting is still under investigation. It looks like there were 4 or 5 other officers on scene. Maybe some of them have body cameras and that haven't been released yet. Officer Mensah's department does have body cameras. Unfortunately, they only have 6 of them, and those go to all the motor officers. So the question is Officer Mensah a bloodthirsty pig out to kill young black males, or does he just keep getting put in terrible situations where he has to make a split-second decision against people armed with deadly weapons? You be the judge of that. Point of the video is please always do your research instead of grabbing a shotgun, driving over to a stranger's house, and firing a round off into where their children are sleeping. You fucking assholes. Well, that's all I have for you tonight. I'll be over at twitch.tv/donutoperator streaming as soon as this video is released. You can come over and use your Amazon Prime account, connect it to your Twitch account, subscribe to me for free, gives me a couple bucks and helps support the channel. Please go subscribe to my vlog channel, Donut Vloggerator. I'm having a lot of fun over there with my family. Other than that, have a fantastic day.
Hacker.